transfer season. Here we are. I'm back with James. Obviously, we've had a little bit of a hiatus here. You know, James and I are busy. We've got our own stuff going on, right?
Yes, we do, guys.
But one thing that does not stop, does not sleep, and is always consistent is the news stories in the transfer market. So, James, I just want to this is going to be totally open forum. You and me can just spitball for however long this goes on for, just talking about what we got going on right now. What to start with the first one. Now, supposedly, this is a couple of days old now, like maybe 3 or 4 days old. Inter Milan have turned down the opportunity to sign Paulo Dybala. And what I guess want to ask you now is, especially with Spurs now, they've got Richarlison, right? They got Kulusevski, they got Son, they got Kane. That's looking like the Fabio Paratici, Italian league signing thing. That's going to go off. Where's Paulo Dybala go now? Because as the teams kind of get thinner and thinner for him to choose from, his wages are going to have to drop down a little bit lower here. And I'm just wondering for you, like, I know we've talked about this before. I think you'd like to see him at Manchester United, but with Erik ten Hag and like supposedly who he's been interested in as well, I'm just wondering, like, is that a move that's going to happen now? And is Paulo Dybala running out of options here?
I do think he is, Jack. I'm not going to lie. Again, the Inter Milan stuff, I was happy he didn't go there. I want to see him away from Serie A.
Right.
The Manchester United stuff I felt was perfect, but now they made a deal for Eriksen, and they still got Bruno in there. They still got Donny van der Beek. By them bringing in another number 10, with that not shift. Don't get it twisted. Like, Dybala can be very versatile and play out wide and play in like a number of different positions there. And I do think from a Manchester United marketing standpoint, that makes sense.
Right.
But I look at it from his point of view right now. If Manchester United's not the option, which I don't think it is, like at this moment in time, where does he go? I've been seeing links to Arsenal. I would like to see him at Arsenal, but I don't see it there. Real Madrid to me is a great option, bro. But I told you, I don't want to see him in the Serie A. I don't think he should. I'll tell you maybe one that he might consider: Chelsea.
I'm not going to lie to you, mate. It has something that I've thought about. I mean, we'll talk about, I guess this will be our little segue to start talking about Raphinha as well. But, Lukaku's gone, right? Hakim Ziyech, I don't know if we think he's going to go or not. I think Christian Pulisic, I don't know if he's the answer. I don't know if Thomas Tuchel's super happy with him. I saw these great memes about Callum Hudson-Odoi is about to have a breakout year. And I think somebody quote tweeted it. It's like, man, to have a breakout year in your 5th year. We've been waiting for you to break out for a long time, my friend. Timo Werner, I mean, is he a striker? Is he an inside forward? Is he a wide player? So again, it would make sense, certainly. So I think if we talk about Dybala at Chelsea, let's also now talk about the Raphinha deal, because I think that was kind of messed up from the get-go, wasn't it? I remember seeing comments about stuff like, well, if the deal between Leeds and Chelsea has been accepted and the player's still waiting for Barcelona, if the player then signs for Chelsea, we don't want to hear any of this stuff like, oh, it's always been a dream of mine to play for Chelsea. I love John Terry. I love Frank Lampard. I love Didier Drogba. Do you know what I mean? Like that was because it was clear as day that Raphinha wanted Barcelona and no one else. So I'm kind of like, I'm just wondering, how does that sit with you now? And also, James, it feels to me like a lot of people maybe not rejecting Chelsea, but they're choosing other options instead of Chelsea.
I mean, Chelsea are I think Chelsea are still a very attractive destination for a lot of players. Champions League football, London, biggest team in London. If I'm being listened to Arsenal, I don't want to get into that thing. But I look at it from this point of view with Raphinha. He has made it clear for day one that he wanted to play for Barcelona. Arsenal showed interest. He didn't mind it, but he wanted to join Barcelona. Chelsea shown interest. 2 huge clubs have come in for him and shown big interest for him at a time where it seemed like Barcelona weren't financially able to sign him. And even then, he still wanted to stay loyal and said he's set out that he wants to go. Now, Deco is obviously his agent. We know the links between him and Barcelona, and also the links between him and Chelsea. Right. But also, when you look at it from this point of view, it's like these South American players, they love being able to play in Spain. That just seems to be the thing. Real Madrid and Barcelona have always just been a thing for them. And he looks at it from this point of view of his career, which has been going up and up and up, and moved to Barcelona. especially where Barcelona are at right now and where the squad is at right now, there's a place for him to be starting week in and week out there. And to a certain point, Jack, he probably has a better chance of starting week in and week out for Barcelona over Chelsea.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's more.
You have to look at it from the wide area standpoint. Right. I get it. You have Dembele. Who else does Barcelona have at wide? Fati, yeah, but how many times, Jack? He's injured the majority.
Yes.
Of time, Ferran Torres, good player, but can he get over Ferran Torres? I definitely think he can. 100%. I just feel like with Barcelona to a certain point, it's like with Chelsea, there's a lot of competition there, and you don't know where Thomas Tuchel will go with things. While he probably has a bit more trust in Xavi than he will have in Thomas Tuchel.
Yeah, I would say probably, but again, Barcelona's business. Again, I know this isn't really focusing on what we're trying to talk about in this video, but I mean, the idea that they'll have spent, what is it, like 265 million euros in total on Dembele, Ferran Torres and Raphinha, that is not a good return for your value for money.
We could spend a good hour talking about what a shambles Barcelona are. And to me, it's crazy that since Xavi has came in, Jack, they've signed like almost 10 players.
Yeah.
The amount of in January, look how crazy they went with the signings, and they've recently announced Christensen, Kessie, they might get this deal done for Raphinha. So they've been very busy since Xavi's came in.
Well, and also like Lewandowski. Let's not forget about the links with Lewandowski. And Lewandowski's made it very clear where he wants to be playing his football. James, speaking about a team in shambles, Barcelona, supposedly the kind of saga of the summer that doesn't seem to have an end in sight, Frenkie de Jong to rejoin his old mate Erik ten Hag in the red side of Manchester. Supposedly the issue is now that because of COVID, there are deferred wages that Frenkie de Jong is still owed by Barcelona as a football club. I believe it was 17 million euros is owed to Frenkie de Jong.
That's a lot of money, Jack. That's a lot crazy.
Of money. I would be
Jack. That's a fee for a fullback.
Yeah, that is that words. Yeah, that's. I'm pretty sure that's how much Tyrell Malacia actually ended up costing Manchester United. But supposedly that is holding up the deal. But if he stays at Barcelona, he would have to take a pay cut and renegotiate his contract. He doesn't want to leave the club. I think he's happy there. But if he were to leave the club, I think Manchester United would be a good option for him. There's problems with, they're happy with the fee, but it's how the add-ons are paid, and it's just becoming more and more complex. I'll be honest with you, James. At one point, I thought, this will happen. It'll just kind of figure itself out eventually. But I feel like we're getting to a point now where it's becoming almost too complicated to even get their head around. Supposedly, Richard Arnold, John Murta, and the Barcelona representatives met today in Barcelona. There was footage of that meeting taking place today. But I just want to ask you here, I mean, I think you and I can both agree, if Erik ten Hag gets Frenkie de Jong, that's fantastic, and it's actually quite a good value for money deal. But the real question is it even going to happen? Because this, like I say, owing players money, changing contracts and renegotiate, that's stuff that doesn't take part in most transfers.
My thing is that Man United need to be careful in signing a player who is not desperate to play for the football club. I feel like, to me, that would be a poor thing because, listen, there's certain times that a football club needs to take pride in. And bringing a player into a football club that, to me, doesn't want to be there, I feel like will always work out bad. Because ultimately, is his heart in it? I get it. There's Ten Hag there, and there's Donny van de Beek, and there's a lot of stuff that he can get there. But if you've spoken to this guy and he hasn't gave you a clear indication that he wants to succeed at a club I get it. People talk about where Manchester United are at right now, but I don't care about none of that nonsense, Jack. No. It's still Old Trafford. It's still the theatre of dreams. There's still phenomenal players there. And if Donny van de Beek wants to make, and not Donny, if Frenkie de Jong wants to make the impact, for a stage to make the impact, that would be Old Trafford. Manchester United, they have lacked success for so many years. And even the midfield area, they've lacked that quality there.
Yep.
the motivation to sign for Manchester United and help them get back to where they want to be, I think should be high. But the fact that this thing is holding up, and he feels like he doesn't want to be there, I feel to think that Manchester United need to look at themselves and be like, we might need to look somewhere else.
Red flag, James.
Thank you. To me, that's what it is. It's a complete red flag.
Let's give an example as well. A realistic Manchester United example is a player that isn't that keen to join. Is he going to put his body on the line in an FA Cup final, in a Carabao Cup final, in a match that determines top 4? I don't know. You know what I mean? And again, I think that what we've seen, and this is more a little bit maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago, there were lots of players who were signing for Manchester United and just kind of taking the foot off the gas. I've made it. I'm a Manchester United player. They're paying me all this money. We're good. Because even if we lose games, I've still got my money, right? I don't know if Manchester United want to go down that path again. But James, like you just said, theatre of dreams, Manchester United, Eric Ten Hag, Donny van de Beek, there's a lot of, you'd imagine it would be quite an appealing place for him to go. And if he backs himself and he backs his manager and he backs his teammates, it might only be 1 year missing out on the Champions League at this point. You know, he could be that kind of real centerpiece to get them back into Champions League football and then to hopefully build a project that can challenge for the league title.
Like, don't get it twisted. So obviously, sunny Spain. We know what Spain brings in like the nightlife in Barcelona, and how great Barcelona is as a city. But I just look at this from this point of view. A team has clearly shown how keen they are to kind of let you go, and another team, probably bigger in Manchester United, have shown how much they want you there.
Yep.
And even then, you still don't want to go. And I'm like, to me, it's like, what the biggest thing for me, Jack, is let's say if he has a poor bit of form and he's left out for a bit, because he didn't want to be there in the first place, would he still show the same effort to get back into that starting 11? These things need to be taken into consideration. Manchester United are going to make this sort of signing.
Well, acid only spoils the vessel, right? And, you know, James, again, I hate to mention this, these are professional footballers. They're going to earn a lot of money regardless. But if you're trying to secure the bag, the guys you're currently playing for want you to earn less money, and the guys who are trying to sign you are probably going to increase your wages. So again, interesting to see what happens with that one. Moving to James's team, moving to Arsenal, and you know, James and I had a little bit of a connection over the past few days. One of my many footballing boyfriends, Sergej Milinkovic-Savic, has also been linked with Arsenal alongside Yuri Tielemans. And James, I just want to get your kind of initial take. Do you think there's any weight in either of those rumours? And you know, how do each of those guys being linked make you feel?
With Arsenal, you never know. You know, I feel like the Yuri Tielemans thing, I think is a thing, and Arsenal been keen on him for a long period of time. I like both midfielders a lot. Well, Jack's love affair for Sergej Milinkovic-Savic has been going on for a long time.
Well documented.
You know, it's been well documented, and I've had to take a look at him. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm a huge fan of him. And if I had to pick between Tielemans or Milinkovic-Savic, I'm going for Savic. I love that style of mid. He's long, lanky, box-to-box, athletic midfielders who are great on the ball that can also score goals. I love that sort of stuff there.
Yeah.
You know, the only thing I would say is probably the lack of control in a game that he may not have compared to Yuri Tielemans. I just look at this from this point of view. Thomas Partey next to Sergej Milinkovic-Savic. That's mouth-watering.
That's your double pivot.
That's what I'm saying. That's a team that will struggle to be overrun in my eyes. You know, I would love to see something like that. I would personally, when you actually look at it, Milinkovic-Savic has 1 year left on his deal. So does Yuri Tielemans. If I was Arsenal, if I'm being truthfully honest, Jack, I would do rather you can sign one right now and wait till January and see can we get another one like on a free next season. But I would find a way to bring both players in, because Granit Xhaka, I don't think he's the answer long term. Let's be truthfully honest. Like he's been here for a while, and I feel like he's been underrated by Arsenal fans because he's been great for us a lot of the times, but he has his mistakes. But do I think Arsenal going to kick on and get to that next stage with Granit Xhaka in the middle?
No way.
Do I think Arsenal can trust Thomas Partey to stay fit for a whole Premier League season? No, we've seen him. He's been listen at this moment of time. He's bones of glass. We know what's gonna happen. There was no need for him to miss the whole of the ending of the season, but somehow he did.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a thing where if we want to challenge and show that assertiveness, we sign both players.
James, and I'll be honest with you. You know, you talk about the changeover there. If Guendouzi's not going to be there, and you work on Xhaka leaving, and you work on Lucas Torreira leaving, that's 3 spots that are just gone from your team. And if you replace them with just 2 guys, obviously the initial outlay in terms of the fee is going to be quite high, but it's not going to be as high as it would have been if there were 4 years left on the deal. So it's good value for money. The ages of the guys is great. So again, I tend to agree with you.
Yeah.
Look, I have Arsenal finishing top 4 at the moment before the transfer window kind of settles down. I have both North London clubs beating out Chelsea and Manchester United at the moment. Now, a lot can change, but to me, if Arsenal want to really secure that kind of 3rd spot and the best of the rest behind Liverpool and Man City, those are 2 signings that I would absolutely shoot for.
But Jack, my biggest thing when it comes to football is quality. I remember, I think I was on TikTok, and to me, having the Bundesliga quality, but I was on TikTok and I was watching a little clip of Chelsea back in the day when they were playing under Carlo Ancelotti, and in the middle, on the starting 11, they had like Joe Cole, Frank Lampard, Michael Essien, and I can't remember the other guy, but he was another top midfielder. And on the bench, Jack, they had Deco and Michael Ballack. How absurd and crazy is that?
Yeah.
But you seen the depth and the quality that they had in the middle there. That's what I want to see from Arsenal. You know, I don't want us to always rely on El Nene, Xhaka, and listen. I can go on about
There's another guy who needs to go as well.
No, I like an Nene, but I want quality. I want real quality.
Look, hey mate, I don't blame you. And Milinkovic-Savic as well. Anybody who may be not familiar with him, it says a lot that I'm a Roma fan, and this is a Lazio player who I absolutely love. You know, this is a more consistent, more disciplined Paul Pogba without that kind of top level upside. I think we all know that Paul Pogba on his day is probly the best midfielder in the world, but that day doesn't come around very often. Milinkovic-Savic is going to be more consistent and more of a week to week
on his day, man. Goodness gracious, man.
Moving to West London though, James, and talking about goats, my own personal goat in Milinkovic-Savic, and then a kind of a more well-renowned goat in Cristiano Ronaldo. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be Chelsea. Obviously, the rumours are that the man wants to leave. Now, Erik ten Hag had his first press conference today before Manchester United versus Liverpool tomorrow in Thailand for the pre-season. Supposedly not for sale, but again, we all know that's bluster. That's just something you say. I'll be honest with you, James. The reports that are coming out now is that Ronaldo wants to leave, but maybe his mind's being changed, and maybe he'll stay for just 1 more year. James, I think that's kind of a defensive play, because I don't see anybody breaking down doors at Old Trafford to try and sign Cristiano Ronaldo. Call me crazy, but all the links with Bayern, all the directors have come out and gone, doesn't really fit our plan, not what we necessarily want to do. Is that something PSG want to handle? And again, James, we're running out of clubs to talk about here. To me, it feels like Chelsea or bust here.
Ronaldo's 37, Jack. He's done everything. You know, like, this is what I don't think it's a bad thing for a 30. You ask a 37-year-old that garners what Cristiano Ronaldo garners. Would a team want to sign him? No. It's Cristiano Ronaldo, and we know what he brings. If it's Chelsea, then so be it. But I think for Ronaldo's sake, I don't think he should be out here moving like that. I think if it's not to go to a team outside of England, stay put and, you know, see it out.
I agree. Because James, the other thing I'd say about Chelsea, are Chelsea a win now football team in the Premier League or in the Champions League? I don't think so. I think I think Rudiger's left the football club. I think Ben Chilwell's coming off a knee injury. I think that supposedly Azpilicueta is going to leave. I think Christensen has left. I think Kante's a little bit past it. I think Jorginho might be past it. Lukaku's just been sold. You know, is Chelsea a situation where Cristiano Ronaldo just slips in at number 9 and they win the league and are dangerous in the Champions League?
Jack, is it mad
right now? I'm going to say no.
You're right. Is it mad for me if I say, people may say, oh, Manchester United are in disarray, but with what's going on with Chelsea, I feel a bit more confidence in Manchester United than Chelsea at this moment.
I've still got
In
I've still got United finishing 6th, Chelsea finishing 5th. But again, transfer window, we got plenty of time left. There, you know, a Frenkie de Jong could come in, and Neymar could move to Chelsea. You know, there's all this kind of stuff that might happen.
if that stuff happens, then we can talk some serious business.
Right. But to me, yeah, I think it's less though, James, about trying to keep Ronaldo. I think it's more about like, hey, Cristiano, like, with all due respect, you're great, but nobody wants you for what you're asking for, mate. And I know that sounds really bad. I'm the biggest. Anybody who knows me knows that I have this is my greatest of all time. I love Cristiano Ronaldo. I think he's unbelievable. But right now, at this point in his career, James, I don't think he has any options that meet the requirements of what he wants. I really, really don't.
If I'm being truthfully honest, this is probably the way I think Ronaldo should do it. Maybe this year at Manchester United, maybe next year too. We'll see what it is. And maybe spend 2 more years at Sporting Lisbon, and he calls it a day.
Yeah,
you know.
Saying that though, James, we're seeing Zlatan Ibrahimovic winning Serie A, but
but Jack, he played like 25 minutes out of 30 something. So I don't want to hear it.
So James, moving on to a little bit different news here. Not really kind of a rumor, because James, it's happened now. We've got a here we go from the man himself, Fabrizio Romano. Chelsea have managed to get Raheem Sterling at 27 years old. I want to say it's a 5-year deal with the option of a 6th as well. So they're not messing around here at all. And again, talk about like needing an upgrade in that wide position. I like Pulisic. I think he's a neat and tidy player. I like Ziyech. I think, you know, his left foot on its day, again, when he's playing consistently, that's amazing. I think Hudson-Odoi, Raheem Sterling, though, is a major upgrade in that wing position for Chelsea. Goals, assists, you name it. So I just want to get your initial thoughts on this. And also, City letting him go, that's kind of puzzling to me. That's really puzzling to me because James, this guy's 27. The only thing I can think of, and this is something that I've tweeted about and talked about a bunch, I think we are going to see a 2-striker formation of some description from Pep this year. I do think we're going to get like a 3-5-2 or a variation on a 5-3-2 or something like that from Pep this year, where we see Haaland and we see Alvarez, or we see Haaland and then maybe, I don't know, next to him is a Grealish or somebody like that. I just want to get your thoughts on City letting go Raheem Sterling.
I feel like that's such a Pep Guardiola move.
Yeah,
because I feel like he has squeezed what he's wanted to squeeze out of Sterling. He's gotten what he wanted to get out of Sterling. And it's time to move. And I think he's did that with so many players. Like Henry, he got what he wanted to get out of Thierry Henry. And it was time to move. And I think with Guardiola is that he never stops. And people just look at Guardiola's point of view and just think that, oh, he's this guy who's obsessed with midfielders and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, he does have that. But he has different variations.
Right.
In like throughout each year that he's at a football club, he changes it up. You look at Barcelona when like he first started, he had these nice direct wingers, right? These nice direct forwards, Eto'o, Henry, Messi, who was at that time to me was quite direct, you know. Sure. Then he had
head
like
down.
You know, then thinking about that, then he had Pedro, he had David Villa, 2 players who had direct, and then he transitioned into loads of centre midfield. He had Fabregas playing out wide at times. Iniesta, he flooded it with like so many midfielders.
Fabregas,
and I feel like
at times.
Exactly. But I feel like where he's at right now is that he had a time when he had Sane, Aguero, Sterling, which was, to me, that was the best addition of the Manchester City under Pep. You know, just going forward, just direct play, and that was great. But we've seen that. And he's a guy of evolution. He likes to change things up. And I do believe that with players like Phil Foden, with players like Jack Grealish, he wants to show a different understanding of Manchester City. And I look at it from this point of view, is that you have like Haaland coming in. Why wouldn't Sterling not make sense? But he wants to go a different sort of way. And I can understand it from an evolution point of view. And I look at it from Sterling's point of view. He's 27. He doesn't want to be a bit part guy, right? He's always been, to a certain point, Jack. When Pep first came, he was one of the big hitters there. It was Sterling every single week at Liverpool. every single week. England, every single time England play, he's playing. This is the last year or so was the first time in his career where he hasn't been an out-and-out starter, and he wants to go into a situation where he knows that no matter what, he's going to be the first name on the team sheet. And I feel like with Chelsea, I'll give him that.
Look, I agree with you, but I can't help but think this is going to come back and bite him in the ass. And the reason why I say that, like, and I only kind of figured this stuff out after the transfer was confirmed, because obviously people are posting statistics and records and stuff. Do you know who the third highest scorer under Pep Guardiola's management ever has been? It's Raheem Sterling. And that's behind.
Wait, who's first? I thought like
That's behind
wait. Okay, so you thought that's whole time?
Pep's whole managerial career. Raheem Sterling is third in goals. I mean, the guy's 27. He's going to be back home, right? He was a Wembley kid, right, or in and around Wembley. So I mean, I know that obviously, Chelsea's it's reasonably close to for him. London anyway is back to his home city. I can't help but think that Pep and Man City might have dropped the ball on this one. I'd have much sooner, I think, in terms of a value, lost a Mahrez, right, or just bitten the bullet on Grealish, right, and just let him go, or something like that. I don't know, but letting Sterling out the door, age 27, I don't think people realise and can appreciate how good Raheem Sterling is and how much of a difference, James, he's going to make to this Chelsea team. I mean, he's going to have Reece James playing with him there as well. I just,
I feel like the biggest thing to me with Chelsea signing Sterling is Chelsea Jack have a lot of wide players. Let's be honest. They got Hakim Ziyech there. They got Callum Hudson-Odoi. Who else? They got Timo Werner who could play out there.
Pulisic.
Pulisic. Like they got a lot of names. Yeah. But all four of them names, all you think about is just a lack of consistency.
Yes.
Sterling, to me, as much as people made this, like, he is consistent. I know what I'm going to get from Raheem Sterling.
Yep.
And I like what I'm going to get from Raheem Sterling. Chelsea, to me, need a player who's going to score goals for them. A wide player who's going to get them assists and also get in the box and score goals. And to me, Sterling is that guy right now. This, to me, Jack, if we sit there and ask ourselves, okay, so what's the signing of the transfer window? It's hard for me to root against Chelsea signing Raheem Sterling for 45 million euros, especially when you know how much English players go for today and the value Sterling brings to this football team. I think this is a phenomenal signing from Chelsea.
Also, as well, Sterling's short area quickness is going to stay there for a while. This guy is a low center of gravity, and he's never been reliant on just breakout long speed to beat people. So Raheem Sterling, even if he moves from out wide into maybe like a number 10 kind of position later in his career, in his early 30s or something like that, Raheem Sterling is going to hold immense value for a very, very long time. So again, for me, I'm just saying, Stamford Bridge, City come to town. Can I see Raheem Sterling scoring a couple of goals and Pep regretting, the decision that he's made? Yeah, absolutely I can. But anyway, moving on to another part of London, a bit of East London here. Supposedly, James, Jesse Lingard and his requirement or request for wages is a little too high for West Ham to stomach. Now, supposedly he's been linked with Newcastle, been linked with West Ham. Is Jesse Lingard, similar to his mate Paul Pogba, is he kind of pricing himself out of something that he might want here? Because, James, at the moment, Jesse Lingard is not going to a single football club, and that's because people aren't willing to pay him what he wants.
I feel this is my biggest thing with the whole Jesse Lingard scenario. First of all, Paul Pogba's already signed for Juventus, and I feel with the Paul Pogba thing, I felt weird the fact that he had to go back to Juve and take a big pay cut. That to me is weird. But
just quickly, just for a bit of colour here, supposedly Pogba wanted 18 to 20 million euros a year. Manchester United offered him 14, and now he's signed for Juventus for 8. I mean, I think he thought PSG are going to want me, Real Madrid are going to want me, all these big teams, and then actually everybody was kind of like, "Nah, mate, you're all right." But Juve, hey, you can come play with us for 8. Which, that's a serious indictment on where Paul Pogba sits right now. But anyway.
But, to me with Jesse Lingard is that he needs to playing football, and the fact that you're sitting there waiting for the call, Jack, it's getting deep into pre-season now for certain teams. Certain teams have already played 3-4 games of like pre-season. They're already on their way doing their tours. Like Man United, I think, on their way to China to do their
Thailand.
tour, or like Singapore, Thailand to do their tour. And Jesse Lingard is still sitting at home on his treadmill waiting for that call, and I don't like that. I feel like if you're a free agent, you want to know your destination and have your mind prepared on what you're going to do for the next season and where you aim to be. The fact that he's still sitting there waiting for the call, and Jack, let's be truthfully honest, he could possibly get to the end of the first game of the Premier League season or the first game of the football season and not have a football team. To me, is wild, because Jack, we're not that far off.
Also, James, one thing I'd say as well, and this is what shocks me the most, you're Jesse Lingard. You have half a season of top quality football, 0.8 goals a game, maybe 1.2 goal contributions a game at West Ham. You don't think you're going to force your way into that England setup with Gareth Southgate for the World Cup? I mean, this is Jesse Lingard's last World Cup. Let's not get this messed up at all. This is Jesse Lingard's last World Cup. And the fact that he's potentially trying to get squeeze a little bit more money out of the stone just doesn't make any sense to me.
In my biggest thing to me is that if Jesse Lingard just plays just good, I feel like Gareth Southgate will look, let's take him, because that's a relationship that he's got with thing. I'm pretty sure in the Euros he was a part of the 28-man squad, and he was cut from that, but Southgate was upset that he had to cut him, but he didn't play enough games. So why would you put yourself in a predicament where you're not going to be going in there because you don't have a football team? I feel like with Lingard, he needs to speak to his agent and get moving.
Well, the latest bit of news I saw is that he's being offered to MLS clubs. And again, Jesse Lingard as a character and as a person, unfortunately, he's a little bit childish, a little bit immature, I think is fair to say. So him being in the US, I think I've seen a couple of videos he's on TikTok and doing stuff again, that's fine. It would just be a real shame, in my opinion, because there's a serious Premier League footballer there who, for a team like West Ham, that could be the difference between Europa League hell. The way West Ham played at points last year, maybe a Champions League push for a team like West Ham if Lingard plays the whole season and stays fit. James, what I want to do now, just kind of react to a confirmed transfer. So this isn't really transfer news, similar to what we did with Sterling. Richarlison at Spurs. What's your initial reaction on this? Because just quickly, while I let you kind of form your thoughts there, I don't know how I feel about this, because this has always been my view, and I tweeted this. If you're Antonio Conte and you're probably going to have 3 attack-minded players, it's a lot of money to spend to potentially have Richarlison sat on the bench. But if Richarlison's not sat on the bench, is Kulusevski going to be sat on the bench? Because Kulusevski came in really hot for Spurs and has played really good football. You're not dropping Harry Kane. You're definitely not dropping Heung-min Son. So to me, I understand the depth argument and all this kind of stuff. But for me, it's a lot of money to be spending to drop one of those 4 players onto the bench. That's all I would say.
But I don't look at Kulusevski and see, this guy who's undroppable, Jack. I look at Richarlison, I think the value that he brings to this Tottenham team is a lot more than what Kulusevski is going to bring overall. Why? Because he can play out wide, Jack. Yeah, and he can also play as a 9. And let's say what happens when Kane does potentially get hurt, which he hasn't been hurt in the past 2 years, which is which is good for Tottenham. Or he had a little hiatus last season. I feel like with him, it's just overall, to me, it works out better for Tottenham. You feel me? I like Kulusevski, but Richarlison just brings me that. In a weird way, Jack, do you not feel like he's that Antonio Conte type of striker? Yes. How do I say it? The Diego. I know that.
Try not to swear.
Yeah, as much as they didn't get along, but his time with Diego Costa there and how that worked with that brute force type of striker who you can hit it up to women.
I got a great word for you, diplomatic word for you. Gritty. He's gritty.
Yeah, that to me that gritty sort of striker there with Richarlison, I think works a lot more for what's his name again? I don't like Antonio Conte. Yeah. But overall, Jack, I like the signing. People are like giving out and saying, "Oh, how could you pay that much money for him?" But I think Richarlison as a striker overall, Jack, I'm a big fan of what Richarlison brings as a striker. If he puts it together in his mind, Jack, there's a 25-goal man in there.
Oh, easily. James, for sure. And listen, all four of them could start. My thing is, and I think this is where we disagree, and I don't want to talk to you too long about this, but I think Kulusevski's on Richarlison's level. I think they're competitive in terms of their talent. I mean, lest we forget. So Richarlison 25, Kulusevski's 22. And what we saw from a 22-year-old Kulusevski in his first kind of half a year there, that got me really excited. And if I was a Spurs fan, that would really, really excite me. To me, if you can fit them all into a same team, especially against, the bottom half of the table teams and maybe the 8th, 9th, 10th place teams, you be my guest, you go for it. And rotation, I totally understand it. But for me, I know that Antonio Conte, he's not necessarily the biggest fan of rotation. Usually Antonio Conte's 11 is his 11. To me, Son, Kane, Richarlison or Kulusevski, if one of those guys is going to be sacrificed, that's really damaging to that player's value, his ability to come in cold and just try and pick things up. So I thought it was a bit of a weird one. I thought they were in a pretty good space with the likes of Bergwijn, with the likes of Lucas, with these guys who they know they're not going to start, but they can come in off the bench and they can still provide that quality without being that top tier. And now obviously I'm being kind of generous to Richarlison there, but like you say, it's a very, very good Antonio Conte fit. So James, I guess the last couple that I wanted to talk to you about, and I guess we could go kind of quick fire on this one. There's a few of these Ajax guys linked with Manchester United, Lisandro Martinez, Anthony. I mean, any kind of thoughts on that? Do you think any of those deals will happen?
I don't know. The Manchester United stuff, I feel like Manchester United need to be careful. Is that let's not turn yourself into Ajax. Like, I get it. You have a manager there, Erik ten Hag, but you need a mix of his players and then top-level players going to make Manchester United compete. Because right. Anthony and Lisandro Martinez are good players, but are all these ten Hag players going to take Manchester United all the way to win the title again? That's the question you need to ask. I feel like it needs to be a mixture of both.
After Raheem Sterling moving from Man City to Chelsea, Nathan Ake supposedly going back to Chelsea again after being at Chelsea and then going on loan and then being sold and then go back to Chelsea and then go. What are your kind of thoughts here? It's a weird one for me. I've got friends who are Chelsea fans.
I feel like Chelsea, the old Chelsea and this new Chelsea, they're going to collide because it feels like they might even go back for Tomori. I don't, Jack. I don't think together because Ake has never given me that sort of thing that he's going to be a starter for a top team. He's never ever like. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to move the needle.
Yeah, he's a In the same way that I think Zinchenko is a great deputy left back at Man City, I think Ake is like a great deputy centre back at City. I think if Chelsea is signing a guy who, I don't know, is going to play next to Trevor Chalobah and Thiago Silva, I mean, are you happy with the back line of Ake, Chalobah and Thiago Silva if you're Chelsea? I think, they need to kind of bite the bullet there and sign a Jules Koundé, Pau Torres, or James, listen. One of the biggest mistakes of recent memory for them is getting rid of Fikayo Tomori. We know how brilliant he's been right now. Just bite the bullet, get him back from the Serie A champions. James, I mean, I've got a couple other names here, but I'll be honest, we're kind of getting down the list here a little bit with Tyler Adams to Leeds and Brozier to potentially leave Chelsea. So are there any other names or rumours that you've seen recently which you have any interest in talking about?
No, I feel like we've covered majority of stuff, if I'm being truthfully honest. Them guys there, they're all cool. But
I know. Again, it's like we can't really give every team its due because I hate to say it, but some teams are not operating on the same levels as other teams. Sorry, guys, that's just the way the cookie crumbles, I'm afraid. Guys at home, let us know what you think. Especially, you know, I know we've got Spurs fans on the channel here. I know we've got fans of the bigger teams here as well. Barcelona fans, I know we've got some of you knocking around. Sammy, we want to hear from you. What are Real Madrid up to? Seems like they've already done all their business. Let us know in the comments section. Please drop a like on the video as well. James and I are really trying to get geared up for the World Cup here as well, you guys. So please watch our predictions video. And I'm really mad at myself because I'm not going to remember the guy's name. We had this fantastic commenter on our World Cup video give his full breakdown of his predictions. If any of you guys want to kind of match him and just see how you go on that, please do that. If you're not subscribed, just scroll down real quick, just see if it's there. Because seriously, the way the algorithm works, you might be getting our videos, but you might not be subscribed. So do scroll down and have a little check on that. But until next time, we'll see you.